come out of Hebrews 12 and 2. Hebrews 12 and 2. Ever say amen? Hebrews 12 and 2. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despairing the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. I read for you Hebrews 12, verse 2. May the Lord have a reading on the hearing, doers, and blessings of his word. You may be seated for prayer.
That's right. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for giving us another day, Father God, that was not promised to us. Thank you for our life, health, and strength, Lord. Thank you for traveling grace that you've given us to get here, Father God, and the traveling grace you'll give us to go back that you already worked out. Just pray tonight, Father God, that you bless this word, this study that we're having, Father God, that it may be a word from you, that we may learn something, Father God, that we can use in our everyday lives for ourselves and for others. And we just ask you to continue to watch over us, keep us, and guide us as your children. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
This concludes our devotion, and I believe our teacher tonight is our very own Pastor Alton McKinley, if I am correct.
You are correct. You are correct.
Amen?
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So I guess people don't like the speaker because he said it. We don't show up.
What's up, D?
Good evening. We're in Romans, the 2nd chapter. I'm going to back up a little bit to that, to the 8th verse. I know we hit that last week, 2 weeks ago, as we have walked our way through Romans, the 1st chapter, through the 2nd chapter. And as we got to the 2nd chapter, we start really focusing in on, to me, what I would call the trials, and we're looking at our building process. How I like looking at this is that most of us have been through some kind of building process. And as we start to build, we want everything to be, we have this grand idea in our head of how, man, building's gonna be wonderful. We're gonna do all this stuff and all this stuff. And think about Christianity. When people come to Christ, a lot of people come with the conception is that, man, I went through all of this stuff, and now it's gonna be all downhill from here. And so we have this picture of what Christianity is, and even sometimes we get kind of wrapped up into what we perceive Christianity to be. We look at Christianity and say, man, where we stand at now, man, we should be moving forward. Everything is lovely. Now we have the assurance that God is always with us, but it doesn't mean that, Jesus says, I keep going back to Matthew the 5th chapter, where he says, just as the prophets of old went through some stuff, we're gonna go through some stuff too. And through all what we got going through, we got our lights will shine. He went to all this stuff. He says the Beatitudes are surviving as you go through. Blessed are this, blessed when you do this. And all those blessings are that you go through something. And as he says, you go through these things and then you're prosecuted. He said, let your light so shine. Man, that's great when it's sunshine. That's great when it's 75 degrees and just very little wind and everything is just good. But when it's 103 degrees or it's 3 degrees, let your light so shine in the midst of what we're doing. And so I liken this to saying that as he laid out the things that we are supposed to do, and I keep saying from the 2nd chapter on to the 6th chapter, he lays a case of the struggles. And I I was thinking on here is that here is a great lawyer laying out all of the facts. And it's a great conclusion when we come to the 6th chapter. But in these chapters, he lays out all of this stuff that we both got to deal with, both as Christians and non-Christians. And so there are some consequences to how we are to live. And chapter 8 brings us back into that reality again. And so that's when we ended 2 weeks ago. I wanted us to have a point to come back and actually have a discussion. Because verse 8 is kind of, if you look at it, it's kind of deep on what we need to be and who we need to be. And so as you read through the 2nd chapter, let's read verses 8 and 9 and just get a feel for where we are in this walk through Romans.
But for those who are self-seeking and who reject the truth and follow evil, there will be wrath and anger. There will be trouble and distress for every human being who does evil, first for the Jew, then for the Gentile.
But others are selfish and refuse to follow truth. They follow evil. God will show his anger and punish them. He will give trouble and suffering to everyone who does evil, to the Jews first, and also to those who are not Jews.
Now, as we look at this, what do you see here in verses 8 and 9? What is he talking about in verse 8 and 9? What is he getting us to see?
You do evil, you will be punished.
It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on.
Right.
No matter what your background is. Earlier, and as we ended chapter 1, he was talking about those who are smart, those who are not smart, these things. God's grace falls upon you. You don't have to be you don't have to be kings and queens, you have all, but God's glory falls upon you. Now he takes the idea is that as we go through this, even though we call ourselves Christians, whether we are a Jew Christian or a Gentile Christian, if we put ourselves in the wrong place, there's consequences for those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then he goes on and further say this, but what kind of it is? Look at verse 9. Look at verse 9. What does verse 9 say to us?
And if you do evil, you're going to go through some stuff.
So it didn't say, a tap on the hand.
Mm-mm.
What did it say? What kind of stuff you gonna go through in verse
You're
9?
going to have some affliction, some distress, some turmoil,
In the
trouble,
midst
and
of,
sorrow.
even though, watch this. Even though you come to church, even though you read your Bible, even though you pray, even though you do all these things, if you line yourself up on the wrong side. Now we do have grace to fall upon, and I know people like this that says that, but we under grace. And I keep trying to get to chapter 6. I keep trying to. It's amazing how all this stuff leads to 6. He says, does that mean we should sin more? That grace might abound more? No, I'm gonna keep messing up so God give you some grace. No, He give you more grace. Why aren't you messing up? You don't have to. You know how people act bad to get attention. Some people. I'm gonna do the worst things to get some attention. You can do some good stuff to get some attention. You get a whole lot of attention. You ain't gonna burn up a building to get attention. You can get a whole lot of attention by doing that, which is good. So he gives this idea that there is some consequences to being on the wrong side. Now verse 10 flips it back the other way. Look at verse 10. It flips it back the other way.
But glory and honor and peace to everyone who does good, to the Jews first, and also to the Greeks.
I like this. It's one on board on the computer out of the King James says, every man that worketh good. It doesn't say that every man that is good, every man that is perfect, every man. But you know what? I'm trying my best to do it. I'm trying my best. And sometimes even my best is not A+. Sometimes my best is a C+. But God knows I'm trying to deal with some folk, and I'm trying to stay right. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to work it the right way. Difference between earlier those who choose to do wrong. Choose. That's why I purposely know I'm gonna go steal some. I purposely know I have every intention that I'm gonna. And who I am is because you're trying to work good. We know. I'm just glad to be a part of this in the midst of everything that we're doing. But I want to show that contrast between choosing to do wrong and working for the good. I try to work for the good. I fall short, but God knows we fall short. If he didn't think we could fall short, he would never send his son to the cross. And so when we look at this passage and all that we have to deal with, I want to pinpoint this as working through our own self-doubts. It's almost like we're trying to choose what tile we're going to put in the room. You know, have you ever heard a person try to choose? We're going to choose our flooring today. And you go there and think, I'm going to have this down. They go and show you some stuff you weren't expecting. You had your mindset, I want the wood one like this. And they show you $8. Ooh, I didn't know you had that. I didn't know you had that. And you choose that one. And you can't want, building. And then you choose one. And then you go into the house and you say, ooh, I should have chose that. And you go make your house all mad. Why I got this floor down here? That's a simple, let's put it in simple terms. But that's the part about working. We work through our issues, we work through our problems, we work through our struggles, but we're always working to do good. And in that working, you know, he didn't say we'll slope with whatever. He actually used the working. That this is work. I mean, if y'all think coming to Christ was going to be easy, I wish it was. I wish, you know, me and Brother Benjamin were having a conversation. I had to catch myself. I said, I kept using the word. I kept saying, I said, why am I worried about? I mean, God has done all this stuff. Why do I choose now? And Benjamin said, because you think you know, it wasn't about me to begin with. It wasn't about me yesterday, like we were today. And so we got, again, in our own mindsets to let go. So, when we look at this, getting over our own self-insecurity, our own self-doubt, we just got to work through this, and nobody arrives there. Paul says, I keep pressing towards the mark. I never arrive until I leave this place. And so when we look at this passage, God does not show any more respect to one person than another person. Because when it's all said and done, we all get to the kingdom. And so when we look at the next set of verses 11 through 15, Paul puts it out out there in a way that the God we serve does not have a respect of person. And so when you look at this gives us assurance of our decision making, how our decision making is made in the midst of our life. And so let's read through these verses here. And I was trying to work through this chapter tonight. So let's read. Don't mind reading verses 11 through 16. And let's get two translations of that. It's five in-depth verses. Somebody read 11 through 16 from one translation, and we get another translation there.
For there is no favoritism with God. All who sin without the law will also perish without the law, and all who sin under the law will be judged by the law. For the hearers of the law are not righteous before God, but the doers of the law will be justified. So when Gentiles who do not by nature have the law do what the law demands, they are a law to themselves, even though they do not have law. They show that the work of the law is written on their hearts. Their conscience confirms this. Their competing thoughts either accuse or even excuse them. On the day when God judges what people have kept secret according to my gospel through Christ Jesus.
Another translation, and I want y'all to kind of think through this, what it's saying to us.
God judges everyone the same. It doesn't matter who they are. People who have the law and those who have never heard of the law are all the same when they sin. People who don't have the law and are sinners will be lost. And in the same way, those who have the law and are sinners naturally do what the law commands without even knowing the law, then they are their own law. This is true even though they don't have the written law. They show that in their hearts they know what is right and wrong, the same as the law commands, and their conscience agrees. Sometimes their thoughts tell them that they have done wrong, and this makes them guilty. And sometimes their thoughts tell them that they have done right, and this makes them not guilty. All this will happen on the day when God will judge people secret thoughts through Jesus Christ. This is part of God's news, and it tells everybody.
Okay, y'all heard all that? What y'all said, huh?
God judges the same, whether you know the law or don't have the law. When you don't have the law, you're living according to your own thought process, and you can get in trouble with that. And when you know the law and you still don't follow it, you're gonna get in trouble. I don't know.
No, that's kind of hitting on a point. Anybody else want to dig into all of these and those and dots and this?
But it says, to follow up on Sister Mac, it says, even if you don't know the law and they never heard of the law, then your conscience kicks in, and it should guide you, keep you between the right and wrong lines.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't keep you within the lines, then you're lost. Right, and then if you have heard it and you don't stay between the lines, then you get judged by the law, which I don't know which is worse.
It's written on all of our hearts.
Yeah, I don't know.
You seen people that you was like, they ain't got no conscience.
Did I hear you see your hand? I saw your hand, Elijah. You got your hand up? Oh, I was going to let you have it. I say, Elijah got his hand up. Let him speak. In a very compressed way, Paul was showing that even if you have read the law or you didn't read the law, because remember he's dealing with Jews and Gentiles and trying to get them to see that even if you had never heard it, God's laws were embedded in who we are to begin with. We naturally know what's right and wrong. A baby knows when they're doing something wrong. My 2-year-old, we had her for, well, I was there for 3 days of it. She knew when she was doing something wrong. She would do it, and I just go, Papa, no, you know you was doing wrong. And she ain't read no law, she did nothing. So what we're trying to say is that when God judges in the end, he judges it based upon what's in your heart. And then what the Jews will do, and this is a big conversation throughout the New Testament, says that, well, the Gentiles, they don't know what we know. The law, it's all about the law. We've been knowing the law since we were little, and the Jews, they don't know nothing. Especially those barbarians, they don't even know how to read, let alone know. But even in that, he was trying to say, even what they knew, and at the very end, what happens? God judges based upon what's in our hearts and our conscience. Because he said, the piece I like about it says that even if you didn't know the law, you knew right and wrong, and you became a law unto yourself. So folk don't have to be in church to know the difference. And so the key piece is don't be so governed by the law. You got to hold that. But what's in your heart comes to be conscious. And God is going to, there's people that know the law that don't follow the law. There's people who don't know the law and will follow the law. And so what he says that, would you rather be a person who don't know the law and try to do well? Or would you want to have a person who know the law and don't do well? I was always told those who know and don't do free. How are we saved? We're saved not by the law. The law shows us that we need to be saved. The law is just a mirror that says that, why need God? Because you can't do this, this, and this. You can't follow these instructions, so you need to have grace in your life. And so when we get to the third chapter, he says that you got to believe in your heart and confess with your mouth. And so when we get this, that every man is a sinner. And we all need God's salvation. And so what he says here is that he hits the law really hard about, well, you know the law, don't know the law, you'll be judged by the law and all these things, but that's not what keeps you out of heaven. That does not keep you from where God wants to go. And so when God sees it, he recognizes that. But a person can accept Jesus Christ without even know the law. Y'all think a person got to come in this church and come down the aisle for them to be saved? Man, we're into fellowship. I would love everybody to come here and go down the aisle and be a part of that. But it says that if you confess it, you believe in your heart and confess with your mouth, you shall be saved. Man, that's so simple that all a person got to come into reality and say those things. They don't have to, there's other steps after that, but that's true salvation. And so here, he gives the whole idea of this law. He says that God will judge everybody the same. He has no respect of person. In verse 16 it says, in the day when God shall judge the secrets of man by Jesus Christ according to the law. Did it say that? Will be judged according to the law? Or by the gospel? Not by the law, but by the gospel. And all that stuff about the law is all that, those stuff, but in the end, what is the gospel? The good news. What is the good news? The word. The good news of Jesus. Not on anything else. Paul says all this other stuff is great for us to live with one another, and have all this between us. Those are great laws. You shouldn't go murder nobody. You shouldn't steal from nobody. All the Leviticus stuff, all the stuff that says that make sure you get do these and all these and those and all this stuff. And Jesus said there's 2 commandments, and these 2 hangs on all of the commandments. Love thy God with all thy heart, and love thy neighbor as thyself. Everything else hangs on those 2. From those 2 principles, you can live your life the right way. And he says, but the gospel is what we hang our life on, the word. And so because you don't know, I hate people say this, well, I don't know scripture. Okay. I just know a couple of verses. Okay. Well, I don't know all of the 10 commandments. Well, to be honest, there's over 1,000 laws out there. So 10 is you're very short on the 10. So we don't know all that stuff. blind man who Jesus healed him, and his parents was, well, he looked like my son. He looked like this, and he says, "All I know, this all I know, that I would say it this way: when I woke up this morning, I could not see, and I came across Jesus. All I know, I once was blind, but now I see. It's all because of Jesus." Can't tell you what Psalms 24, 34, 84, 44, 144 say, but I can tell you this here. The gospel, that I once was blind, but now I see. And that's what, you know what, to be honest, if we can all get that, then we want to know what else is in it for me. I want to dig in, because if that's just the crux of it, I mean, how much more am I missing than this? And so,
I was just saying, if we would just do that, be more doers, he says, not just here and then go home.
but let's go back up to the whole idea of who that work is good.
Yeah.
Not that I'm perfect, but I'm working good. That means every day I'm working. Every day I'm working. Every day. No, another song says hustling, but every day I'm working. Yeah, see, I know y'all listen to radio sometimes. and so when we look at this, we are working. How many of y'all go to work and it's like, man, this is work. Today was work. Today I had 8 meetings, only 3 were scheduled. Today was work. But I was like, it was. But it's work. We grind through it. That's how we are with the gospel. We grind through it. We keep on working towards what it is that God would have us to have in the midst of it. I'm going to ask this question. How many of y'all know it's a struggle for y'all? You be honest and say it's a struggle.
Yes, it is.
It's a struggle. I want y'all to hear that from everybody. Everybody says it's a struggle, right?
Yes.
So I want you to think about yourself, because I think we get so caught in looking at other people and we think that it's just us that struggle. I struggle. Joy struggle. Benjamin struggle. Edison, we struggle.
Yes, daily.
My struggle won't let me see nobody else's struggle.
All I see is me.
That's it's work. How many times this is gonna be a good day, and at the end of the day you're like, Lord, I didn't. Man, that's not how I thought it was gonna turn out. You have a conversation with your significant other. I hate saying that. With your wife or your husband, and it's gonna be a good day, and somebody slip up and say something wrong. Y'all know y'all been there. Maybe y'all haven't. If y'all hadn't, I need to teach a couple classes. The raise actually people to teach class. If you haven't had one of those moments yet, please teach. Not the. I think it's the 3rd lesson. It's coming up. We got a spot for you if you had never had a slip up. And it'll be perfect. You say the perfect everything, and just one little thing. It's like in your brain saying, that wasn't supposed to turn out like that. It was. We was going down the path, and all of a sudden we didn't see no rocks, and all of a sudden we on the ground. And so that's the idea of this working. And why I hit this is that you have people tendency to boast about what they're doing. It's nothing more than I hear people, I'm this and I'm that. I'm thinking to myself, I know you struggle. If you breathe, I know you're struggling. Unless I'm missing something. And we just said it's 23 people in this room. Unless we're doing something wrong. The next piece talks about people who are boasting about being better, or Paul always about the Jews and Gentiles. How the Jews look down on the Gentiles. The Jews, you realize why the Gentiles are in there? Because y'all messed up. You realize if you were all that, then that probably mean, even though I know Jesus said I came first for the Jews and the Gentiles, but y'all rejected him. Y'all didn't, now, don't act like you big and bad now, because you in church today. Because you came along, you joined church a whole day before me, so you better than me. But I've been part of the church for a whole week. Okay, that's fine, but you ain't no better than me. I joined the very next Sunday, so look here. We in the same boat. We need the same thing. And so in this next little section, Paul tries to. He paints a picture and then it's the idea of that you are not all that. And I'm telling y'all in here, because y'all came on Wednesday night Bible study, but you're still not all that. Thank y'all. Come back next Wednesday. I'm trying to come right away, please. And y'all who on YouTube, don't turn off the screen yet. Just y'all doing y'all thing, but that means we still gotta work harder. Because Satan didn't give up because y'all are here tonight. Your problems ain't gonna go away. Your flesh ain't gonna stop beating you up because you. Oh man, they had Wednesday Bible study, and the sun was out. They could went they could been at home on the back porch, just got their feet kicked up, drinking iced tea. But they hear it. And they ain't gonna say, well, gosh, be quick. No, it goes on more. And so as we get to here, verses 17 through 21, I know we're taking some big chunks here, but verses 17 through 21. So I read the US 2 translation of that. And let's get feedback on that one tonight.
Now if you call yourself a Jew, if you rely on the law and boast in God, if you know his will and approve of what is superior because you are instructed by the law, if you are convinced that you are a guide for the blind, a light for those who are in the dark, an instructor of the foolish, a teacher of little children, because you have in the law the abundance of knowledge and truth. You then who teach others, do you not teach yourself? You who preach against stealing, do you steal?
Go ahead, read the next one, because it goes into some more.
You who say that people should not commit adultery, do you commit adultery? You who harbor idols, do you rob temples?
Have the easy reading version.
Okay.
What about you? You say you are a Jew. You trust in the law and proudly claim to be close to God. You know what God wants you to do, and you know what is important because you learn the law. You think you are a guide for people who don't know the right way, a light for those who are in the dark. You think you can show foolish people what is right, and you think you are a teacher for those who are just beginning to learn. You have the law, and so you think you know everything and have all the truth. You teach others, so why don't you teach yourself? You tell them not to steal, but you yourself steal. You say they must not commit adultery, but you yourself are guilty of that sin. You hate idols, but you steal from their temples.
What y'all say about that? What y'all?
That's pretty deep.
How do we see that? How do we see that from our standpoint?
I think it just straight tells you. You have to look at what you're doing before you start calling other people out. We all struggle doing the same thing.
We see people coming to the church, not necessarily, but figuratively, we see people coming, and we already have passed judgment on them. Or we see them from a distance, and we already passed judgment on them. We see them different than us, and we pass judgment on them. He who is superior, who teaches those who we think are inferior, he who does this, don't we in turn do the same thing? And he goes on, verse 23 talks about adultery. Through adultery and all that, and then he goes into the next. He goes on to some more stuff that we do, and what it is that none of us is without sin.
Right.
And so we try to categorize because I always look at it this way. We look at a person's tattoo and we judge them because we can see their tattoos. But for those who have inner tattoos that nobody can't see, we walk around as if we are perfect. And that's, I always use that in the sense that oh, I can't, man, he got earrings and tattoos and this and this. Oh, we can see what their issue, I don't want to say issue, we can see their things, but then we'll try to say, I hear people say, they obviously can't be Christian. Wow. Oh, because you can see their tattoos? What did you do yesterday? How many pins say Bank of America and you work Bank of America?
When you say
I always say, you can see people's visuals, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not even hitting on past shoes, but we see their visuals, and we judge them, but we hide our stuff. So some stuff we do we can see, and some stuff we can't do. Or we put our hand behind our back so somebody can't see that we do the first 3 rocks. And we just, oh, look at those folks throwing those rocks. Well, hey, wait a minute, you just do 3 rocks yesterday. Now you want to judge them throwing rocks today. They do 1, you do 3.
Yeah.
But so what I'm trying to say is that the stuff that we see, and he tries to say is that we talk to other people as if we are perfect.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time, and I'm not afraid to say this, is that if more people in church would act like they were perfect, some other folk would come to church. Because they walk in and you treat them as if they are trash because you are pompous. And so what he was saying, Jews, stop boasting, bragging, and we know you got your own issues. People in the church walking around as if they have no issues. No, we got problems. Everybody got problems. That's what we all trying to work on them and get that there. And so when you go to church, man, some church I feel like I'm just can't be there because y'all, it's 2 reasons. Either y'all crazy or y'all too perfect for me. I can't, you go to some church, they real out there, and I'm here. I'm kind of like here, but I'm not up here. So but some stuff, we walked in and we was like, hey, here are $2 for offering, but we see y'all later, partner. We still got the back door because y'all just out there. And there's some folk who out there is like, man, I feel like I'm the worst person in the world. They walk around here. We have not done nothing wrong. We do everything. No, I'm sorry. I'm clumsy. I don't speak right. Like Paul said, look, this is who I am. And so he says, if you start trying to, it's okay to talk about stuff, but don't be such like you talking down to people.
Yeah.
That you have the superiority context. And a lot of times it comes right there from the pulpit.
That's right.
People are preaching like, dude, man, you realize you human too? Y'all should be doing this. It's y'all. Y'all need to get out. We need to get right. Us. Me sometimes. That's me. Y'all get along with me because I'm saying that me meaning us need to get right. Yeah. And so he says that these Jews was boasting. This whole little pass here, as we come to this end of this transition he has here, is about us realizing, not just the Jews, because the Jews do it, but the Christians do it too. And if I ever get people to say, come to church because we got issues. Don't stay around here. Look here, if you want a church, you perfect, you don't come around that friendship. Don't come. If you perfect, we're going to make you look real bad. Because we ain't perfect. We got issues, and we come to hear the word. I hear the word. Y'all think I hear? I've been hearing sometimes. I hear God speaking through me. I just start laughing. Lord, that's me. I messed up. Thank you, Lord, for showing that to me. So I can work through this. I'm not preaching from here like I'm preaching like, look here. Let me tell you what God had to take me through this week. Woo. And this week he take me through some stuff. I said, God, I don't get this passage. So thank God take me to some rough and up down in Tuesday. Woo. And Wednesday was woo. So by the end of the week I said, God, I got you. You gotta take me no more down this passage. I got the passage this week. I got it. Because why? I'm not preaching from a standpoint that I made it, that I've arrived. And too often, the leaders in the church are acting as if they don't have nothing wrong.
Right.
They don't have issues. And it drives me crazy that it comes from the pulpit. That comes from the congregation that we chase people away. I can't, and like I said, and you know what? Some people don't want to be a part of that. Because people come in here and it's like, man, they all got issues. They praying to God for this. Yes. Well, I want to be a church, but I can fake like this is the one place all week long I can act like I ain't got no problems. Well, no, they ain't the place then. It ain't the place. Because we all trying to learn something, get something right. We trying to get something out of this. We trying to teach our way out of our situation. And so he tells them this. He says that he says, those who say don't steal, you steal. Those who say don't adultery, you adultery. Those who say these things, he goes on in verse 23 and 24. He keeps on talking about this, that the boast of the law through breaking the law dishonors thou God. For the name of God is blasphemy among Gentiles through you as it is written. Key there. Because what you are doing, the Gentiles see God differently because you speak about what God is doing, but you say all this, then when you turn around, we see you doing differently.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
You tell me don't do all this stuff, and you're God's people, and that I always tell people, it's the people in church that keep people out of church. This ain't God. Believe me, it ain't God.
And you hear people say it all the time. Church folk.
Church folk.
Yeah.
Church folk. Why? Because they act like they ain't got nothing wrong with them. And I see them out there acting a fool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the plain food.
So then y'all see me and say, yeah, y'all pray for our pastor, because I said on YouTube, pray. Look here.
Cursing and praying in the same sentence.
Huh?
I said cursing and praying in the same sentence.
But that's not me. That ain't me. I think she was just speaking about something else. Because she heard me say, pray for your pastor. And she said, that ain't me. Now, I used to cuss like a sailor, because I was a sailor. I used to cuss like a sailor. I had that, and a cussing tongue. God has removed that from me. That, you know, it takes a whole lot. I ain't gonna say I ain't gonna cuss no more, but it takes me a whole lot to cuss now. Y'all pray for y'all pastor, I'm still pressing towards the market. But not what Joyce was saying. She was talking about, thank you, Joyce. Because she,
Sister Mac, I think his conscience messing with
no, as soon as I said that, she said,
Explain it.
no, because I said, y'all need to pray for your pastor. And she said, as soon as I pray for your pastor, yeah, praying and cussing and say, what? No, that ain't me. You gotta listen to what I'm talking about. I can't go offside on that. But it's the idea is that we make God look bad when we portray this front like we're perfect.
Right.
We're not perfect. It's by grace that we are here. It's by His mercy that we are here. And so, yes, that means we're going to still slip. We're going to still... People see me, hard ever get mad. And once I get mad, ooh, I thought you was a Christian. I'm still a Christian. You just got on my nerves. I had to put you in your place this time. I mean, that does not mean I'm going to walk around perfect and all that. That means I got to go back and apologize. And I do. That's the most humbling thing. If you yell at somebody, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. They look at you like you're crazy. But that's the part about being a Christian. He says, if we start trying to be perfect, I wish every church that would come in and say, you know what? We got problems, Pastor. We're just glad we're here. I'm thankful for God's grace. We're here because we need more of that. Every Sunday, we come back and get refilled up again. Wednesday, we get refilled up again so we can go out and actually do it better. Yeah. We don't show up because we're good. We show up because we messed up and need His grace to continue. Lord, I need to know more and more so I can do better and better. Because guess what? As you get smarter, the devil gets smarter. Well, he don't get smart. He just use smarter types. He said, okay, I can't fool them with the cheese no more. Got smart with the cheese. The cheese still on the trap. It ain't fool no more. So I got to move away from the cheese. I got to do something different. Got to put some green blocks out. Some peanut butter. Some jelly. So he keeps this idea of what we're going through. Let's end. Let's read verse 25 through 29, and we'll close at the top of the life.
For circumcision is indeed profitable if you keep the law. But if you are a breaker of the law, your circumcision has become uncircumcision. Therefore, if an uncircumcised man keeps the righteous requirements of the law, will not his uncircumcision be counted as circumcision? And will not the physically uncircumcised, if he fulfills the law, judge you who, even with your written code and circumcision, are a transgressor of the law? For he is not a Jew who is one outwardly, nor is circumcision that which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Jew who is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, not in the letter, whose praise is not from men, but from God.
Y'all get that? Or y'all want the easy for the Ray or for the S and do the easy read? Because it's very, this is the, this is the, this is
kind of rough. If you follow the law, then your circumcision has meaning. But if you break the law, then it is as if you were never circumcised. Those who are not Jews are not circumcised. But if they do what the law says, it is as if they were circumcised. If you have the written law and circumcision, but you break the law, so those who are not circumcised in their bodies, but still obey the law, will show that you are guilty. You are not a true Jew if you are only a Jew in your physical body. True circumcision is not only on the outside of the body. A true Jew is one who is a Jew inside. True circumcision is done in the heart. It is done by the Spirit, not by the written law. And anyone who is circumcised in the heart by the Spirit gets the praise from God, not from people.
Anybody want to tell me what that says to you?
I think you already said it, County, that it does not matter whether you know the word or not. As long as you conduct yourself as if you know what right and wrong is, then God will give you the praise. Now, if you Christian, baptized, saved by the Holy Ghost, and break the law, you shame not only the law but God.
I think also he talks about you may look the part physically, but on the inside, you're just as rotten as all the doors.
Yeah.
So it talks about that.
When we think about this, we can do all the spiritual acts, have all the spiritual saying, and a person who does not know the spiritual acts or the spiritual saying could be better off than who we are.
Yeah.
Because you perform these rituals don't make you spiritual.
Right.
Because you have the spiritual talk does not make you spiritual. So he says, he gives a spiritual act. If you have it and you don't actually have it in your heart to do it, your act was just it's just a show. Because you come to church every Sunday don't make you righteous. And people who don't come to church who have a righteousness in them, so your acts don't make it right. It's what's in the heart that makes it right.
Yeah.
And so he says that, because they, remember the conversation is that, well, the Gentiles not circumcised. They really can't be spiritual because they're not circumcised. They heathens. All right, Esther, you walk around with your Bible, that don't make you right. Because every time you turn around, you're ready to fight somebody. And you get your posse with you. So your posse ain't right. You ready every time you fish out that fool. Wait, hold up. He who called man a fool has already committed a sin, right? So, and she said it a lie. Every time she came around, why I keep going by his house so he keep making you mad? Why do you keep showing up at his house? I'm sorry, I'm having an argument with my TV show. I apologize. I'm sorry. But she had all the signs of being holy.
Yeah.
She had the purse. She had the Bible. She had the hat. And she had her sisters with her.
Yeah.
But
She swung it.
they at one point all three of them was hidden. So what I'm trying to say is that she had all the looks of it. And I'm not judging her heart. I'm just saying I'm using that as an example. That and we can have a person who don't have all of that, but have that spirituality in the heart. Then can judge that one, and we'll think it's crazy. That person that does not look like they belong in church is judging the person who's always in church because of their actions. Go back to the left. You teach, but you steal. Don't steal, but you steal. You do all these things you said don't do, but in public I see these things. So the person who is living according to that word, that does not look the part. You walk around, you got a cross on your neck, you got a cross in your pocket, you got a cross on your, and you're doing wrong. This person here don't own a cross. Got some flip-flops, some cut-off jeans, and an old raggedy t-shirt. And we will say, well, that's the Christian. That's not. But that person who has it in his heart is telling the other person, you're just wrong because on Sunday you're this way, but on Monday you're this way. And so you got to be careful of who. We have the circumcision, but we don't have the circumcision of the heart. And this whole time, this whole passage was talking about as we go out into the world, we got to be careful that when we start to build, that we're not building based upon sunshine and everything, that we give this perception. There is some work. There's going to be some struggles and some hard days and some problems. So what we say, Jews, that you can't be up here and not doing it, you're just talking a good game. You're not doing it.
Well, are we also saying we gotta have his word though? Because if we're going off our own judgment, or it's not saying that.
No, it's more than just hearing it. You got to actually let it filter in. It got to be in. It got to saturate you because just hearing it, oh yeah, we go out, but if it's never inside of us, it never gets in us. It never is part of us. That's when he says that the circumcision of the heart. That means the heart has to be broken and to be used. And that's the struggle is that it's to continue continued work, a continued renewing our mind. It doesn't, you can't renew it just one time. It's like a renewing. It's a continuation. It's a continuing. Every day we're getting closer to Christ.
Yeah.
Every day, because we asked forgiveness for yesterday and asked him to do better today. We're trying to do the same thing again, so it's continuing that way. And so this idea of, the Jews says, well, we have the law. And because we have the law, we read it, we know it, but we never actually let it get into our hearts. And that's the idea of studying to show ourselves approved, is that allowing the word to come into us. Because if we just be hearers only, man, we can hear it and put it this way. How many of y'all are better Christians today than you were the first day you became a Christian? Why? Because you let. Was it easy? Were you perfect? Were you? Matter of fact, even now you still try. You can say the last 7 days was hard. Because we either thought something, said something, acted, or did something that was totally contrary to where we want to be at. And guess what? We still try to get up and do the better thing the next day. And so when you was asking Joyce, you hear the word, but now you got to start to apply the word. When you hear a sermon now, does it affect you differently than when it was, say, 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Do you carry something that was said a little bit longer than you did before? What that mean? That means it's saturated. I can tell you right now, I can't remember one sermon I listened to the whole time I was at Mockery Baptist Church. Went there for probably about 14 years to that church. Can't tell you one sermon. I heard 52 Sundays times 14 years. I heard that many sermons. And sometimes double time that. So when we look at that, but now I can say that I can remember some sermons from 10 years ago that just influenced. I can hear some stuff from my father-in-law. I can hear some stuff from my dad when he preached from Pastor Turner that now I can read a passage and say, man, I remember he was saying this, and this. Have notes that I can go back and look at it, and they said it. That means stuff from 20, 30 years ago I can't retain, but now because I'm looking forward, Bible study, I'm looking forward, I can remember word, it gets in. Why? Because I am growing in the word. But it still takes me applying. It's one thing to hear it, and I'm still going to go up there and cut up. Go back to our opening verse 8. He who chooses to do wrong, and he that worketh good. If I'm working it good, that means I'm trying to get to the good part of my life and work toward it. And we know that work is sometimes good, sometimes bad. Sometimes we feel like we're moving ahead, sometimes we feel like we're pulling back. And sometimes it's like, is it ever going to end? It's only 9:30. I got till 4 o'clock. Lord, let this day go. And then when we're away from work, Lord, let it slow down. Let me just enjoy my Saturday and my Sunday. When it's good, let it stay good. But Monday, I always tell people, they always say happy Friday. It's not happy, it's 2 days to Monday. The best day is Tuesday, because I got 7 days before Monday. Let me have off on Tuesday. So anyway, yeah, I just think bad. I think differently. But that was chapter 2. Chapter 2 was really the meat of who we are. And as we build, being the right people to build. If we're going to build God, we got to have the right mindset. We got to choose that it's going to be work. Chapter 3, 4, and 5 builds more towards the spiritual insight of who we are. And you heard Romans, the Romans Road starts with Romans 3, and I can't remember Romans 3. We'll get to it. I can't remember Romans Road 3. I know I won't say 3 and 23. But anyway, we'll get to the Romans Road as we go to verse 3, then verse 5, and verse 6 and 8. And so chapter 6 and 8. So we get to this, we'll walk through the Romans Road when it says our need to be saved in chapter 3. Chapter 4, our desire sometimes fighting back and forth with who God is. Chapter 5. It's come to realization from 5 to 6, a realization of who God is in the midst of life. And then after chapter 6, I like the favorite part in chapter 6, after he lists all this stuff that we go through, but God. the tone changes in chapter 6 from, this is all the stuff that you dealt with. It's all your back and forth, but God. And so we look at this to me is a climax towards chapter 6 to the end of the book about how precious God's love is for us. And so hopefully, as we walk through this, you guys will kind of see what God would have us to do. And we'll walk through this. This will be our Bible study until we get to the end of Romans.
So Romans 3:10.
3 and 10, thank you, Joyce. Always good to have a helpmate who's going to leave y'all to vote all day long by yourself and rescue you every now and then. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. Thank y'all. We'll pick up in Romans, the 3rd chapter, starting next week.
Sister Jenkins got out the